Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself in that, like, frantic scramble, running behind, heart pounding, desperately trying to find the right words to explain why you're late?
Oh, absolutely. It's that universal moment of mild panic, isn't it?
Right. Whether it's for a crucial meeting or, a casual catch up with friends, even a romantic dinner, the clock always seems to tick faster when you're behind schedule.
It really does.
And in English, figuring out those perfect phrases, understanding the unspoken rules, and sort of navigating the cultural nuances around punctuality, well, it can be a real challenge. That's precisely why we're here today. We're taking a deep dive into some excellent English learning material to really equip you with the perfect vocabulary and the cultural intelligence to master those tricky "I'm sorry I'm late" moments.
Yeah, like a truly fluent speaker would.
Exactly. Think of it as your shortcut to sounding more natural and, well, culturally aware, making your English not just correct, but truly effective.
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is that punctuality, or, the lack of it, isn't just about vocabulary. It's a profound lens into social communication
Right.
and managing expectations and even understanding these deep-seated cultural norms that dictate how we perceive, value, and interact with time itself.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and for anyone learning English, grasping these unspoken rules is just as vital as knowing the words. So we're going to systematically break down the most common and effective excuses you might hear.
Okay.
We'll learn practical, native-sounding phrases that you can integrate into your communication immediately, and we'll even explore how different parts of the world literally keep time differently.
The cultural angle, super important.
It really is. This deep dive will give you a comprehensive toolkit, not just for speaking English more confidently and fluently, but for truly understanding its rich social fabric.
So you can navigate both professional and personal situations with, like, greater cultural intelligence and ease.
Nice.
Absolutely. And we're going to jump right into the deep end with a scenario that, well, I think many of us can painfully relate to.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine the scene. It's 10:00 a.m. A critical business meeting is scheduled to begin, but the conference room is eerily empty except for the boss and their assistant.
Uh-oh, not good.
Not good at all. The clock ticks past 10:15, and the boss is getting visibly frustrated, drumming their fingers on the table, glancing at their watch every few seconds.
You can picture it.
Totally. Their assistant, trying to smooth things over, is relaying messages from the latecomers. Now, this is a common situation, right? Packed with learning opportunities, and it really sets the stage for what we're going to uncover today.
Sounds like a perfect starting point.
So first, we hear that Joe won't be there immediately. The assistant explains, Joe called and said she'd be here in a sec. She said she got tied up with a client.
Okay, got tied up. We'll come back to that one.
Definitely. Then the first person actually walks in, a little flustered, apologizing profusely and offering, there was a huge traffic jam on the highway this morning.
The classic traffic excuse.
Shortly after, Jess arrives, adding another layer of detail to the traffic woes. Sorry I'm late. There was a huge pileup on the highway and traffic was backed up for miles.
Oh, a pileup. Okay, that's more specific, serious stuff.
Right. Just as the boss is about to explode, Scott calls in. The assistant relays, Scott just called and said that he's running late. His last meeting ran over.
Another common one, meetings running over.
Exactly. At this point, the boss has truly reached their limit, cutting off any further explanations with the stern, no-nonsense declaration. Guys, this is not acceptable. If I say the meeting starts at 10:00, the meeting starts at 10:00, not 10.01, and definitely not 10.20.
Wow, laying down the law. Very clear expectations there.
Crystal clear. And just as everyone is finally settling in, the very last person strolls in, looking a bit sheepish, with what our source immediately flags as a bad excuse.
Uh-oh. What was it?
Get this. I'm really sorry, everyone. I know I'm late, but really it's not my fault. I was getting a coffee at Starbucks, and the line was way, way too long. I was waiting for 20 minutes to get my coffee.
Oof. 20 minutes for coffee.
Yeah.
That's bold.
Bold is one word for it. Talk about a conversation killer.
Wow. That initial dialogue, though it might seem like just a simple everyday interaction, it really is an absolute treasure trove for English learners.
Totally.
It's packed with incredibly useful phrases, and it highlights these key distinctions that are crucial for effective culturally appropriate communication in English.
Yeah.
So you're not just going to learn what to say when you're late, but crucially, when and why certain explanations are far more effective and, let's say, socially acceptable than others.
Right. The good versus bad excuse thing.
Exactly. We'll explore the subtle nuances that separate a good excuse from one that might leave a, well, less than favorable impression. It's about helping you master the art of apologetic communication in a way that resonates with native speakers.
This is real-world English, not just textbook stuff.
That's the goal.
The language takeaway, essential vocabulary for explaining lateness.
Okay, let's dive into some of those really common and incredibly useful phrases from that opening scenario. We're going to start with one of the most frequent and generally well-received reasons people give for being delayed.
That's good.
The first phrase we encountered, and it's a super common one, gives off a very natural English vibe, is to get tied up.
Mm-hmm.
We heard Jo use this in the dialogue when explaining her delay. Jo called and said she'd be here in a sec. She said she got tied up with a client. It's a very versatile phrase, isn't it? You hear it in all sorts of contexts.
Indeed. The core meaning of to get tied up is essentially to become so intensely busy or deeply involved with something that it physically or metaphorically prevents you from leaving, from doing something else, or, from moving on to your next scheduled activity.
It's like you're literally tied up.
Metaphorically, yeah. Think of it like being tied by a rope to that particular commitment or task, making it incredibly difficult to extract yourself. It implies a situation that is largely unavoidable.
Okay, that makes sense. It sounds more credible.
It does. And our source provides excellent examples that showcase its breadth of use, not just in formal professional settings. For instance, you heard, "Sorry I'm late, honey, I got tied up at the office."
Right, using it personally.
Exactly. It shows it transcends work-only scenarios. Another example, "I was tied up on the phone all afternoon and didn't get any work done." That explains a long, consuming task.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Or even, "I got tied up in traffic on the way here," indicating an external, unexpected delay that just consumed your time.
That's a really useful distinction, isn't it? So if I'm understanding correctly, tied up is almost like a preemptive apology, sort of implying the situation was beyond my immediate control.
Generally, yes.
Are there any situations where using it might backfire? Like, could it sound like you're just deflecting blame? Because it seems so universally applicable.
That's a great question, actually, because context is everything. While it generally works well, implying genuine engagement in something high priority or unavoidable, it could potentially backfire if the tying up was something easily avoidable or maybe a clear misprioritization on your part.
Like what?
Well, for instance, if you said, "Sorry, I got tied up playing video games," that probably wouldn't fly in most situations.
Oh. Definitely not for a work meeting.
Right. The strength of get tied up lies in its implicit suggestion that the delay was due to an external factor or a high-priority commitment that legitimately took precedence or was beyond your immediate control.
Okay.
And this inherent implication often makes it a more acceptable and understood excuse than something that appears entirely self-imposed or due to poor planning.
So it signals you value your commitments even when stuff happens.
Exactly. But the nature of what tied you up still needs to be, reasonable for the context.
Gotcha. So make sure the metaphorical rope that tied you up was legitimate and important. That makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving on to another classic and often undeniably unavoidable reason for lateness. Traffic jam. And its more dramatic, accident-related cousin, pileup.
Ah, yes, the bane of many commutes.
Totally. We heard the first person to arrive say, "There was a huge traffic jam on the highway this morning," and just followed up with more specifics. "Sorry I'm late. There was a huge pileup on the highway, and traffic was backed up for miles." These phrases really paint a picture of chaos, don't they?
They absolutely do. A traffic jam fundamentally means a large number of vehicles that are either completely stopped or moving at an excruciatingly slow pace because of congestion.
Just stuck.
Pretty much. The source explains it clearly. It's like the road is entirely blocked or stopped because there are simply too many cars for the road capacity. Forward movement is almost impossible.
Okay, and a pileup.
A pileup describes a multi-vehicle accident where many cars crash into each other, often creating a really chaotic scene.
Right, multiple cars involved.
Yeah, and the connection here is vital. A pileup is very often the direct cause of a huge traffic jam. If multiple cars crash, it immediately blocks lanes, leading to this massive backup of vehicles.
Backed up for miles, like Jess said.
Exactly. These phrases are powerful because they describe external events that are almost universally understood as legitimate causes for delay.
And the emphasis on huge, in both huge traffic jam or huge pileup, really paints a picture of significant and utterly inescapable delay, doesn't it?
It really does.
You immediately understand this wasn't just a minor slowdown or a bit of rush hour traffic, but something genuinely major that brought things to a complete standstill for ages.
It conveys the sheer scale of the problem, leaving very little room for doubt.
Yeah, no one's going to argue with a huge pileup.
Pretty much. These are classic, legitimate reasons for lateness, universally understood, and more importantly, almost always accepted as valid.
Because they're external.
Exactly. Unequivocally external, unexpected, and largely beyond an individual's control. There's no question of personal responsibility for causing the traffic or the accident itself.
Which makes them very strong, credible excuses.
Very credible. That's why you'll hear them used so frequently across different English-speaking cultures. Everyone can empathize with being caught in that kind of frustrating, uncontrollable situation.
It takes the blame right off you.
Completely. It makes for a very compelling and acceptable explanation.
Now, here's one that I personally use all the time when I'm just trying to give a quick heads up. It's incredibly practical and widely understood. Running late.
Ah, yes. Very common.
Scott used it in our dialogue, remember? Giving a heads up.
Yeah.
Scott just called and said that he's running late. His last meeting ran over.
It's just so succinct and effective.
It truly is. The core meaning of running late is simply knowing that you're going to be behind schedule for an appointment, a meeting, an event, whatever it is.
You're behind. You're behind schedule, yeah. It means you are already past the designated start time, or you anticipate being so. And a key clarification here, like you implied, it does not mean you are physically running somewhere.
Right. Very important distinction for learners.
Crucial. It's an idiomatic expression. It just concisely conveys a state of being behind schedule and often implies you're on your way or will be there soon.
Okay.
Our source gives great examples. Jane is running late. She'll be here in 10 minutes. Perfect way to give an updated ETA. Or traffic is really bad, so I'm running late, combining it with the reason.
Useful.
And for a more considerate statement, I'm running a bit late, so please start without me.
This is probably the phrase I use most when I know I'm going to be late, especially if I'm already on my way and just need to send a quick notification.
Makes sense.
It's super important for English learners to know and use this phrase because it makes you sound very native, very natural.
It really does.
It's concise, clear, immediately understandable, and it also conveys a sense of proactivity like you're aware of your situation and you're communicating it.
Exactly.
It saves you from having to say, I am going to be late, which, I mean, it's grammatically correct, but just doesn't sound quite as natural, does it?
Not really, no. This phrase is crucial for that proactive communication and effective expectation management.
Right.
It signals to others that you're aware of your delay, that you're likely on your way, and often implies you'll provide further updates if needed. It just manages expectations effectively.
Lets people know you acknowledge the schedule.
Yeah, and that you're making efforts to arrive, even if delayed. It conveys a sense of responsibility and awareness rather than just an unexpected absence, which is always better received.
It's about respectful communication, even when things go wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even in a pinch.
Okay, finally, for this foundational vocabulary section, we have to run over. This was the other part of Scott's excuse, remember? Yeah. Tying into his running late call. His last meeting ran over. It's a phrase you'll hear often, especially in professional settings.
Very much so. To run over refers to a situation where something, typically a scheduled event, like a meeting, an appointment, a class, maybe even a casual coffee chat,
Right.
extends beyond its scheduled or expected duration. It implies that the event went too far or simply took longer than expected to conclude.
It just went on too long.
Pretty much. For instance, the source notes, my meeting ran over 15 minutes, I'm going to be a little bit late. Very clear, common usage.
Okay.
Another practical example. I always leave an extra 15 minutes in my schedule just in case meetings run over a bit. Which highlights a good planning strategy, right?
Yeah, smart planning based on reality.
It's about anticipating the unpredictable nature of busy schedules.
You know, my meeting ran over feels like a really solid excuse. It's a very good one, usually.
Why to see that?
Well, because it implies you were diligently engaged in something important that simply took longer than anticipated. It's not about your personal time management necessarily, or lack of preparation, but about the unforeseen extension of a prior, presumably important commitment. It suggests you were busy and focused, not just dawdling or getting distracted.
That generally earns you more understanding, doesn't it?
I think so.
That's a fantastic point. And you're right. Initially, it does shift responsibility to the prior engagement. However,
There's a however.
well, just something to consider. If it becomes a recurring pattern, if your meetings always seem to run over, the perception can certainly change.
Right. Then it might look like poor planning on your part.
Or on the part of whoever is running those meetings, or maybe even the company's meeting culture itself. But yes, as an isolated event, this excuse is generally accepted as a valid reason for delay, especially in professional contexts.
Because it suggests a commitment to a previous task.
Right, a task that genuinely required more time, rather than a lack of preparation or prioritization on your part. It speaks to the demands of work and professional obligations.
Which are usually seen as legitimate reasons for a delay. Fluency Builder, advanced phrases for context and urgency.
Okay, now that we've got those core vocabulary words down those essential building blocks, let's build on that with some phrases that will truly enhance your fluency.
Leveling up.
Exactly. Help you express yourself with more precision and naturalness, especially when you're communicating a quick estimated time of arrival, or ETA.
Crucial for managing expectations in the moment.
Totally. These are the kinds of phrases that will make you sound even more like a native speaker.
Okay.
The first one is in a sec. When Jo called in our opening scenario, remember, she said she'd be there in a sec. You'll hear this all the time in casual conversation, but it has a specific meaning regarding urgency.
Absolutely. The core meaning of in a sec is simply very soon, or in a very short amount of time. It's a shortened, informal way of saying in a second.
But it's not literally 1 second, right?
No, definitely not. It's crucial to understand it's an exaggeration. As the source points out, you won't literally be there in 1 second, but you're explaining that you'll be there very, very quickly, almost immediately.
Like you're just moments away.
Exactly. It conveys a strong sense of immediate arrival.
Understanding this subtle difference can really help you set expectations accurately, which is so important for good communication.
Totally agree.
For example, our source highlights the comparison between in a sec and in a minute.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, while both imply a short wait, in a sec generally implies a shorter, more immediate arrival. Like maybe I'll be there in about 1 minute, real soon.
Really thin.
But if you say I'll be there in a minute, it can mean an actual minute or maybe potentially 3 to 5 minutes. It allows for a bit more flexibility.
A little more wiggle room.
Exactly. So if you mean really quick, like you're literally walking through the door or just around the corner, go with in a sec. If you need a tiny bit more buffer time to finish something up or walk down a hall, maybe in a minute works better. It's about calibrating your message to the reality of your delay.
That calibration is key. This phrase, in a sec, speaks directly to urgency and immediacy. It's an assurance of rapid arrival.
Which can be crucial when someone's waiting impatiently.
Or when you're just about to arrive and want to reassure them. It sets a very clear expectation of near-instant presence, which can alleviate anxiety for the person waiting.
It's a highly effective phrase for managing those micro-expectations in real time.
Definitely.
Okay, building on our earlier discussion about traffic, we have 2 excellent phrases that really elaborate on being caught in congestion and vividly describe the severity of the situation.
Okay, more traffic talk. Let's hear them.
Stuck in traffic and backed up for miles.
Yes. Very descriptive.
Jess used both in our initial dialogue, painting that clear picture. Were you stuck in traffic as well, Jess? Traffic was backed up for miles.
Right. So stuck in traffic means you are literally unable to move forward or drive because of heavy traffic congestion. You are physically halted, completely immobile within the jam.
You're not going anywhere.
Nope. The source clarifies. You can't drive because there are too many cars stopped on the highway, so you are actually in the traffic jam. You might be stopped there for 20 minutes, unable to move an inch.
Sounds frustrating.
Extremely. An example given is, hello, Daniel, it's me. Listen, I'm going to be late today because I'm stuck in traffic. It's a common, effective way to explain an immediate, ongoing problem where you're sort of a passive victim.
It conveys that sense of helplessness, yeah.
Now, as for backed up for miles, this phrase describes traffic congestion that extends for a very, very long distance.
Not just a little jam.
No, often it's the result of a major accident or a significant blockage far ahead. Imagine an incident. and the cars are lined up for many miles behind that point, creating this enormous sprawling queue. The source notes, it's backed up for many miles of cars waiting to pass. For example, the accident backed up traffic for miles. That immediately tells you this is not a minor delay.
No, that sounds like a potentially hours-long ordeal.
Exactly.
So when traffic is backed up for miles, you immediately know you're in for a very, very long wait. And being stuck is the feeling that captures it perfectly.
It really does.
It's a really descriptive way to communicate the severity and the sheer scale of the delay. It paints such a vivid picture for the listener that no one can really argue with it.
They can almost feel your frustration.
Totally. These aren't just words, they're like an experience.
That's a powerful observation. These phrases provide a vivid and, importantly, a quantifiable explanation for severe delays.
Quantifiable, right? Miles gives you a scale.
Precisely. Describing traffic as backed up for miles conveys the sheer scale of the problem, leaving very little room for doubt about the legitimacy and seriousness of the lateness.
It goes beyond just saying traffic jam.
Way beyond. It indicates the extensive nature of the blockage and the likely duration of the delay, which significantly adds to the credibility of your excuse. They're powerful terms for expressing unavoidable and significant delays.
Immediately communicates this isn't a small problem.
But a major interruption, yeah.
The unacceptable excuse and the importance of perception.
All right, let's circle back to that truly cringeworthy moment from our opening dialogue.
The coffee excuse.
The coffee excuse. Remember that last person who strolled in late because of a coffee line at Starbucks?
Hard to forget.
Well, the boss was definitely not happy. And our source material highlights precisely why this particular excuse doesn't quite cut it in many professional or even social contexts.
Yeah, let's break that down.
The excuse given was, "I'm really sorry, everyone. I know I'm late, but really it's not my fault. I was getting a coffee at Starbucks, and the line was way, way too long. I was waiting for 20 minutes to get my coffee."
You can almost feel the eye rolls in the room, can't you? And the boss's reaction was quite telling and incredibly instructive for English learners. They said, "Good excuses in general, except the last one. I don't think that's such a good excuse. I don't really think if I was the boss, I'd be very happy with this employee. I don't think coffee's that important."
Ouch. Direct.
Very. And this scenario immediately raises an important question for you, our listener. What truly constitutes a valid excuse in various settings?
Right. What makes an excuse good?
Watch. Generally, valid excuses almost always involve unforeseen circumstances or unavoidable prior commitments. Things like being tied up with a client, experiencing an unexpected traffic jam or pileup, or having a meeting that ran over.
External factors.
Exactly. Factors largely beyond your direct immediate control.
So with the coffee excuse,
Mm-hmm.
it really comes down to perceived priority, doesn't it?
I think so.
Choosing to get coffee, even with an unexpectedly long line, often feels like a personal choice, something that could have been avoided or managed differently.
Like,
Well, leaving earlier to account for a coffee run, maybe skipping the coffee altogether that day, or simply getting it after the meeting.
right, it seems optional.
It's seen as prioritizing a personal convenience over the punctuality of a scheduled collective event. That's the core issue here. It's just a lack of foresight or maybe a misjudgment of priorities.
It's that difference between an external event impacting you and an internal choice leading to the delay.
Exactly. The core insight here isn't just don't make bad excuses, but understanding that a good excuse nearly always involves an external, unavoidable force majeure, effectively removing personal agency from the cause of the delay.
That's well put. Removing personal agency.
Delays due to personal choices, especially those not perceived as urgent or essential to the task at hand, often fall short because they suggest that lack of foresight or misprioritization,
It implies you had control over the situation.
but made a choice that directly led to your lateness. And in a professional environment, that can easily be interpreted as a lack of respect for the time of others.
Especially your boss or colleagues who are waiting.
Yeah. It's a stark contrast to excuses like a pileup, which are clearly beyond anyone's control. A coffee queue, however long, is almost always within your realm of control, right? You can choose to leave the line.
Mm-hmm. A very different category of problem.
And that boss in our dialogue also made their stance on punctuality abundantly clear with that statement. This is not acceptable. If I say the meeting starts at 10:00, the meeting starts at 10:00, not 10:01, and definitely not 10:20.
No ambiguity there.
None at all.
Yeah.
This boss is making it crystal clear, and it's a powerful reminder that expectations for punctuality can be incredibly strict in certain environments, especially professionally. It's not just a guideline, it's a firm rule.
And this highlights a very common professional standard where precision, efficiency, and respect for scheduled time are absolutely paramount.
Time is money, kind of thing.
Sometimes, yeah. It underscores that in some contexts, even minor lateness like being just 1 minute late can be viewed as a lack of professionalism or disrespect for others' time and the collective schedule.
So for this boss, on time means exactly on time.
Not close to it, not about 10.0. This is a very monochronic view of time where time is seen as a linear, fixed commodity.
Monocratic.
Understanding this expectation is absolutely key to adapting your communication and behavior, especially when you're entering a new professional environment or interacting with people from different business cultures.
It's not just the words you use.
No. The words you use to explain your lateness are only part of the equation. Understanding these underlying cultural and professional norms is just as, if not more, important because it affects how your message is actually received.
The bigger picture cultural perspectives on time and punctuality.
So what does this all mean when we zoom out? Beyond the specific phrases, how do these ideas about time, lateness, apologies, how do they really play out in the wider world?
Yeah, the bigger context.
Because, as our sources point out, and this is fascinating, ideas about time and being on time are wildly different across countries.
They are dramatically different.
You might have the perfect English phrases down pat, but if you don't understand the cultural clock of where you are or who you're talking to, you could still be miscommunicating or even, inadvertently causing offense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is where the deep dive truly becomes invaluable for anyone navigating our globalized world.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes abundantly clear that punctuality is not a universal constant. While the concept of time exists everywhere, its social application, its interpretation, the values attached to it, they vary dramatically from one culture to another.
Right.
This raises an important question for anyone learning English and engaging with diverse communities.
Mm-hmm.
How do you navigate these differences? Especially when you're accustomed to your own unique rhythm of time.
It's more than just language translation.
It's a cultural translation of behavior and expectation. Some cultures view time as this fixed, linear commodity that's the monochronic view we mentioned.
Like the strict boss.
Exactly. While others see it as more fluid and flexible, prioritizing relationships over rigid schedules, that's a polychronic view.
Polychronic. Okay, interesting terms.
Understanding this distinction is fundamental.
Okay, let's start with what our source describes as the North American approach, specifically Canada and the US. Now, coming from Canada, I can absolutely confirm this. For business meetings, if a meeting is called for 9.00, people are usually there at 9:00, and the meeting starts promptly at 9:000. Like, no lingering for coffee, no casual strolls into the room.
Ready to go at 9:00 sharp.
You are expected to be present, settle, and ready to begin at the stated time. Computer open, notes ready. It's about maximizing efficiency right from the get-go.
And this reflects a strong cultural emphasis on efficiency, productivity, and respecting that collective schedule.
Yeah.
In these cultures, time is often equated with money, right? So delays are seen as wasted resources. The expectation is everyone arrives on time so the meeting can start without delay, maximizing productivity and showing respect for everyone's schedule.
And being late, even by a few minutes.
It can be perceived as disrespectful or disorganized. It can impact your professional reputation.
Okay, but what about social events in North America? Like a dinner invitation for 6.00.
Slightly different there.
Yeah, guests typically arrive around 6.05 or 6.9. It's usually a few minutes after the specified time.
Why is that?
It's often seen as a courtesy, actually, to give the host a final moment to prepare, put finishing touches on the food, or simply avoid being seen as overly eager or demanding by showing up exactly on the dot.
A polite buffer.
Exactly. But it's still within a very narrow window. Arriving significantly later, like half an hour late, would still be considered rude.
So this slight buffer for social events contrasts with the strictness of business meetings. It shows a subtle nuance within the culture itself.
Right.
It's a way to be polite, acknowledging the host's efforts without imposing yourself too early. But like you said, the flexibility has its limits. Arriving 30 minutes late for a 6.0 dinner would likely be seen as inconsiderate.
It's a delicate balance between punctuality and social grace.
Well put.
And for work start times, like if work officially starts at 9:00,
What's the expectation there?
you are generally expected to be at your desk, maybe logged in, and actively working by 9:00.
Not just walking in the door.
Not walking in the door, not getting coffee, but actively engaged in your tasks. If you're a minute late, it's probably noticed, and if it becomes a pattern, it could definitely lead to discussions with your manager.
So that reinforces the direct, precise approach to time in these cultures, especially professionally. Punctuality here is often seen as a direct sign of dedication, reliability, professionalism.
Your productive time starts at 9:00.
Not after a settling in period, yeah.
Okay, now let's contrast that starkly with the Latin American approach, which our source refers to as Latino time or Hispanic time.
Ah, yes, a very different perspective often.
This is a truly fascinating and significant cultural difference, one that can lead to major misunderstandings if you're not aware.
Absolutely. In many parts of Latin America, if a meeting is scheduled for 9:00 a.m., you might observe people arriving, maybe greeting colleagues, getting coffee, chatting informally, settling in.
So the meeting doesn't start right at 9:00.
Often not. The actual formal start time might shift to around 9:15, 9:30, or even later. And crucially, this is generally not seen as a sign of disrespect or disorganization.
How just different?
It's a more flexible, relationship-oriented approach to the beginning of an event. It allows for this transitional period where social bonds maybe get strengthened before the formal proceedings begin.
The emphasis is more on people.
Often, yes. People in relationships over strict adherence to the clock.
Wow, that is so different from North America. Imagine the frustration if a Canadian or American business person expected a 9:00 a.m. sharp start and found themselves waiting until 9:30.
It requires adjustment.
And gets even more pronounced for social events, right?
For a 6:00 dinner invitation, people might casually arrive at 6:00 or even later.
Seriously, like an hour late?
Potentially, yes. And the food itself might not be ready or served until 8:00 or 9:00.
Wow.
And again, this is seen as a social norm. It's part of the relaxed atmosphere, the joy of spontaneous gathering, not rudeness. That's a key distinction for our listeners.
It's just part of the relaxed social atmosphere and hospitality.
Exactly. It truly highlights a cultural difference, where time is perceived much more flexibly, especially in social contexts. It's not a disregard for time, but a different understanding of its social application.
The focus is different.
The emphasis might be more on the quality of social interaction, building rapport, the unhurried enjoyment of the gathering, rather than rigid adherence to a clock.
So for an English learner, it's crucial to understand that this is a cultural norm.
Absolutely. Not a sign of disorganization or disrespect. If you arrive exactly on time in these contexts, you might find yourself waiting alone or even be perceived as overly impatient.
You have to adapt to the rhythm of the local culture.
Precisely.
And what about work start times in some Latin American countries? Is it the same flexibility?
Often, yes. People might arrive around 9:00, get coffee, check emails, engage in some initial social pleasantries, and then genuinely start working around 9:3 or 10:00.
A gentler entry into the workday.
You could say that. It further illustrates the flexible approach to time. The formal start time might be more of an arrival window, with the actual commencement of focused work activities following a period of informal settling in.
Prioritizing initial social interactions or personal prep.
Yeah, it reflects that different rhythm of starting the workday. It's more polychronic, multiple things happening, schedules are less rigid, human connection might take precedence.
Okay, now let's swing to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Our source points to German countries.
German punctuality. It's legendary for a reason.
It really is a stark contrast to the previous examples.
Indeed. In German countries, if they say be there at 6:00, you are expected to be there precisely at 6:00.
Not 6:00.
Not 6:01. This demonstrates a cultural emphasis on precision, order, reliability, and strict adherence to schedules that is among the strictest globally.
Wow.
Lateness, even by a single minute, can be perceived as highly disrespectful, unprofessional, or even indicative of disorganization.
That's intense.
It's a clear illustration of how deeply cultural values can influence daily interactions and expectations. It reflects a deeply ingrained monochronic view of time.
Imagine the stress if you're even a minute late there. You'd better have a very good, absolutely unavoidable excuse, right?
Like that pileup we talked about.
Exactly. And you'd need to have communicated it well in advance. This truly shows how important it is to be acutely aware of your audience's cultural background and adapt your behavior, not just your language.
Absolutely credible.
Even with perfect English, if you're late in Germany without a truly compelling external reason, you might inadvertently send a very negative message.
That's spot on. This strict adherence to time is often linked to a cultural value of efficiency, meticulous planning, and reliability. Being on time is seen as a sign of respect for others' time, a commitment to agreements, and a demonstration of personal discipline.
It highlights why understanding cultural context is paramount.
For effective cross-cultural communication, yes. Not just the language itself. Misunderstandings about punctuality can really strain relationships, both personal and professional.
So being aware and adaptable is key.
Definitely.
It's also important to remember, as our source points out, that even within general work culture variations, the specific expectation of on time can shift a bit.
Oh, so.
Well, some places might accept 10 or 15 minutes of so-called late arrival as normal, especially if it's considered part of a, settling in routine.
Okay, so even within professional contexts, it's not always identical.
Right. The definition of on time can vary significantly, not just between countries, but sometimes even between different companies or industries within the same country.
And these variations are often influenced by local customs regarding arrival routines versus immediate task engagement.
Can you give an example?
Sure. For example, in some tech companies, maybe arriving at 9:0 means you're at the office, but the expectation isn't that you're at your desk working until 9:1 or 9:15.
After getting coffee, maybe a quick chat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After getting coffee, perhaps a quick chat with colleagues, checking personal messages. The important thing is to observe, understand, and, if you're unsure,
Ask.
politely ask.
Yeah.
Ask about the tradition in the specific country, or even the specific company where you are working or interacting. It requires cultural observation and a willingness to adapt.
Wow, what a truly illuminating deep dive. We've covered a huge amount today.
We really have.
From specific practical vocabulary like got tied up, traffic jam, pile up, running late, and ran over,
The essentials.
to the nuances of in a sec and stuck in traffic, and then digging into how cultural clocks tick so differently across the globe, from the precision of Germany to the flexibility of Latin America.
It's quite a range.
You're now equipped with a powerful toolkit to not only explain your lateness with confidence and understanding, but also to anticipate and navigate those cultural expectations no matter where you are or who you're speaking with.
And this isn't just about avoiding awkward moments, right?
No, it's about genuinely connecting and showing respect within different social and professional frameworks, making your English communication truly effective.
Indeed. We've explored how language, context, and culture intertwine in this complex dance when discussing punctuality. The key takeaway, I think, for our English learners is that communication isn't just about the words you choose,
Right.
but about understanding the unspoken rules and expectations that govern interactions. Knowing that a traffic jam is a universally accepted excuse, while a long coffee line might not be. Well, that's a crucial distinction. This information is invaluable for anyone looking to not just learn English, but to truly integrate and communicate effectively in diverse environments. It helps foster stronger relationships and avoid misunderstandings that can arise from differing cultural norms and perceptions of time.
So we've armed you with those essential phrases: get tied up, traffic jam, pile up, running late, and ran over.
Check.
We then built on that with more advanced fluency builders like in a sec, stuck in traffic, and backed up for miles. And most importantly, we delved into why a coffee line isn't the best excuse in many situations, and how absolutely crucial it is to know the cultural norms around being on time.
Whether it's that precise German timing, the more relaxed Latin American approach, or the promptness expected in North America.
This blend of vocabulary and cultural insight is your secret weapon.
It really is. And this raises an important question for you, our listener, to maybe ponder.
Okay.
Considering everything we've discussed today, how do you treat time in your country, or perhaps in your own personal interactions? What stands out to you as the most surprising or relevant insight from today's discussion?
Yeah, maybe you've had an experience where a cultural misunderstanding about time caused a problem.
Could be. The next time you find yourself needing to explain a delay in English, remember these phrases and, crucially, the cultural context behind them.
It's not just about making an excuse.
No. It's about making an informed, respectful, and ultimately more effective communication. Ensuring your message is not just heard, but truly understood in its intended cultural light.
Remember to practice these phrases, keep observing those cultural cues, and never stop exploring. Until next time, keep diving deep into the fascinating world of language and culture.